Good day, friends. Welcome to another video. Today we'll be discussing the Grunfeld defense. This was a game I played a little over a while ago. Actually, as you can tell here, it was in the month of October, around about the 6th. I had the black pieces. It was a pretty interesting game. In fact, I played this guy. I don't know, it's Typico, whomever, a couple of times, and the games are pretty interesting to say the least, honestly. But I think most of the games I in fact had black, and we played a lot of Grunfeld lines. He tried out some ideas, and I just wanted to share this game with you. So you obviously started out with d4, pretty standard. So I actually played knight f6 on my first move. I have found it to be very flexible. I don't really play the Nimzo Indian or like the classical line. I don't play that. I like this knight f6 move because obviously it's flexible. You can really at a later point like transpose into anything, to be honest. So anyway, c4 and then g6. Now g6, obviously I'm indicating, they're going to be playing the King's Indian defense, right? Or the Grunfeld, of course. So it depends on what sort of like white plays, right? There's what we call also the anti-Grunfeld line, this move f3. Let's just throw that in there. However, you can actually in fact still continue as normal here. There's like a long line of theory that goes something like this, and then knight b6, and then I believe there's knight c3, and then bishop here, bishop e3. It's a very long line of theory. I'm not quite sure really or remember it clearly, but there's something like that when you want to play the Grunfeld anyway and you just insist. So maybe there's something for you guys to look at. It really gets complicated pretty soon, and usually there's some blob of pawns here, and sometimes this pawn gets exchanged into this one in some lines. And white usually has this blob of pawns here in the center, and it gets really messy. He hardly castles or just plays the king right here on f2. The bishop comes out somewhere or the other, and play develops like that. Those are like the typical ideas. Knight goes there. Meanwhile, black will go for something like that. Black always castles, knight there. Maybe strike with this move e5, or even c5, I believe. Bunch of ideas in that line, but we won't be getting into that. Knight c3, classical line. d5, of course, this is the Grunfeld. Here, had I played bishop g7, this is playing in the true spirit of the King's Indian defense. And of course now, because the knight is here, white has this move e4, supporting the pawn here in the center. That's why after knight c3, instead of playing bishop g7, the Grunfeld is the immediate d5, right? Challenging basically the center, because now white cannot just willy-nilly put this pawn here because I'm challenging it with this pawn here. And that's why usually white will exchange. That's the idea. After black takes, and then now white will push the pawn in the center, prompting black to further take care, which is the line we're going to look into now, which is the main line. And then after taking this away, he sort of has like this huge center right here, right? So anyway, let's just see how that looks like. So knight f3, this is a move order I see a lot of people play these days. They delay the immediate capture. I don't really know why, or the merit thereof. I haven't really looked into it that much, but I see it a lot lately, even in some of my blitz games. It's playable. I actually have to investigate this move further. So anyway, bishop d7, pretty standard, and now white takes. Black takes, we won't discuss that, pretty standard. So at the end of the day, in the Grunfeld, the knight does end up on f3. So starting with the knight, I don't know if it has some merit rather than just going into the immediate main line with the e4, but this position can be reached from a different set of move order rather than placing the knight where white just takes immediately on d5 of the d5, right? So there's that. And here, of course, I played the main line, c5. This is a book move. After c5, my opponent played something very strange, right? Bishop c4. Now, I believe the engine says this is an okay move, but okay, you could quickly tell here, sorry about that, about the evil bar right here, right? That it's a bit suspicious. It's a bit suspicious. Because, I mean, classical movies, you play the bishop here, you get it out, white then castles, after obviously getting the bishop out either this way or somewhere or the other. Maybe there's rook b1 lines in these lines these days, because remember, black goes sort of for this queen a5, queen side counterplay type of thing. But then this, I mean, what is this bishop here doing here? It's very silly, right? And I castled here, and he also castled. Yes, I castled, but engine was given something like queen c7. I don't really understand this move or checked it out, because usually white doesn't really even put the bishop in f4. I guess it does support this pawn from here, but there's not really a need when the king's still here in the center, because this pawn is not for free. But yeah, I just castled, he castled, and again, he's not playing bishop to e3, right? Which is a very key move in the Grunfeld. So I figured, but to be honest, bishop c4 was already like red flags that my opponent probably didn't know what he was doing. Knight c6 is playable here, it's a good move. Now, this is also an inaccuracy. Number one, this piece is unprotected, and queen b6 lines usually hit this piece right here, because either way, black is gonna have sort of queen side counterplay, right? So number one, also it puts the bishop, that bishop in line of this long bishop over here, right? And it's unprotected. It's unprotected, and this piece is also sort of looking awkward here. So you have these pieces that are unprotected. They're not also doing anything. Okay, I suppose we can say the bishop is protecting this pawn on c3, but I mean, like, really, this pawn is not being attacked. And so this was a step in the wrong direction. The bishop belongs here on this e3 square in the Grunfeld. This is where the bishop belongs, right? So bishop b2 was already a huge inaccuracy. Yeah, and I think this might have started tipping the scales, as you guys saw here. In fact, if you check the evil bow, let me just wait for it to adjust a bit. It's not adjusting. Okay, there it is, right? So this is what we have here. But immediately after bishop b2, I mean, it just topples the advantage over to black. It's a bit minuscule, of course, because it's a 0.7, minus 0.7. But, I mean, it just already tells you that white is headed in the wrong direction. And takes, which was the best move, I believe. Takes, which was the best move. And then bishop g4, pinning the knight, also best move. Now you'll realize that this pawn here is sort of tender. It's very, very tender, and it cannot also come forward with d5, because then that would hang the bishop over here. Remember what I said earlier about putting the bishop here, it gets eyed by this one, because white cannot really sort of challenge this diagonal. And this is the thing about the Grunfeld and these King's Indian lines, and especially in these moves where in the King's Indian defense, where you play the c5 line, and let's say maybe, I don't know, if white takes or something, you have this beautiful scope of the bishop. But in some lines, of course, in the King's Indian defense, sometimes that diagonal is a bit meaningless, unless maybe you can later put your bishop here on d4 in some lines. But we'll have a lot of time to explore all of that, not here. I'm just sharing some typical ideas here with you. So this pawn is hanging, and it's very much a threat, and I'm about to win it, I believe. Queen b3, also very awkward looking move. What it's doing exactly, I'm not quite sure. And here I played knight a5. I thought it was clever, because I was protecting the pawn over here. I was going to get the bishop here, and then I was just going to bully him with my bishop here, really, because this bishop doesn't scare anybody. After the queen moves, I'll take this bishop, right? But the engine thought I was an idiot, and I think it gave something like I should have taken here immediately. And I think, because if for example, it doesn't matter whether white will take with the queen, which probably he should to not damage his pawn structure. This pawn is going to fall anyway. Just knight grabs the pawn, hits the queen, whether it's on this square or on that square with the tempo. And if bishop takes, I can actually take with the queen, right? Developing my queen and effectively connecting these two rooks over here, and as well hitting the bishop here once the queen lands on d4. I could have played that. And so there wouldn't really be time for him to like boot me with things like rook d1, because immediately after game they tempo, let's say maybe the bishop goes back here. Okay, let me just show you what I'm talking about. Let's say he takes this way. Let me just demonstrate this quickly. In theory, basically, so now the bishop has to move, so it either goes to d3 or to e2. So let's just say it goes to e2, I don't know, for whatever reason. And then here a move like I don't know, rook here maybe, or just even slide out of the way immediately. Maybe moves like I don't know, let me see, yeah, queen a5 wins a pawn, I believe. Yes, queen a5 wins this pawn because it x-rays, it's sort of like an x-ray attack on the rook over there. So that's why that would end badly, right? So for some weird odd reason, I still played knight a5. I didn't go for that killer move, but anyway, it happens. Queen d3, then now I took there, he took there, and then of course I doubled the pawns there, not rocket science. Then I played queen b6, hitting the bishop and b2. Like I said, this is always an idea, so you kind of like getting in harm's way here. And also there's this hit over there, and the rooks now, they see each other, right? They see each other, they're connected. We're about to put them here and here and just march forward. Basically it's about to go down. So rook b1, in the name of in the words of Gotham, rook b1, rook b1. Anyway, rook c8 hits the queen, of course. Don't have to explain this move. Queen b3, he wanted an exchange. I think I went for the exchange, I'm not quite sure. Oh, I first took with the bishop, yes. So bishop takes, because now if queen takes on b6, I'll just take back with the bishop, right? So if queen here, I'll just take back actually this way, and I have this nice 2-on-1 going on here. This bishop really is not seeing anyone on this diagonal. It would be utterly useless. And also it's not like his rooks can come and deliver checkmate. So, and really best case scenario, I just push like f6, e5, rendering this bishop over here obsolete, while mine will have a beautiful scope from here. So I could have played it like that as well, but that's if he of course would have taken queen b6. That was my idea, but he played bishop takes, which was the best move. Now obviously I cannot take it there, the queen, because then I just would have given up a piece. So it takes there, takes there. This, by the way, was a very brilliant move. Queen e3 was an inaccuracy. Stockfish wanted me to defend my pawn with queen f6, which makes sense, and then hit the queen then f3, because then I'm also swinging in with queen g5 over here. But I thought that was a bit stupid. I just wanted to go for the pawn, because I thought this queen, if it takes here, it's gonna be a bit awkward, because I have all nasty ideas of like rook, that's e8, right? Swinging it over here to e5 to the left side and just go checkmate the king over here. That was my idea. So I thought, it doesn't really matter, but guys probably would have could tell that by the evil bar, this was a bad move. But anyway, not all of us are stockfish. Rook b8. This is a great defense, right? The queen x-rays defends the rook over there, so this was a brilliant move. But obviously, look at all these pawn islands. This is one pawn, by the way. That's a pawn island. That's a pawn island. I have this beautiful blob of pawns here. They're all compact. They're together, right? Those are one of the 5 key things in chess. You look for compactness. How compact is the pawn structure? We have material advantage. What else do we have? I think we have piece development, right? King safety. And piece mobility. Those are the things to look at, sort of the 5. In fact, this is it's a great pedagogy. Basically, it's a philosophy by this one grandmaster, Alexandra Sheshin, I believe. He wrote a book. I think it's a how to find strong moves or something like that. I can't really remember the title of the book, but those are the things you look at for. It's sort of like an algorithmic approach to chess and finding some strong moves and stuff like that. Those are things you look at. And so here, I mean, I played the most practical, probably even the most clinical move. Just take the queen, because this is a win in the end game. And then, so let's just backtrack there a bit. And then obviously took, like I said, this is bad pawn, bad pawn, bad pawn. All of this is weak. The only thing that's really weak is my A pawn. But like, if he can't really attack it, he can prove it's weak. And these rooks are staring at each other here. And like, how is he gonna get to my 7th rank, right? Another attacking theme, by the way, penetration into the 7th rank. And so I just played here to just take control of this file, but also I'm not taking, because if I take first and then he takes, then I surrender this file. So I want to let him choose, right? He doesn't choose to take. He plays rook b3, and now I chop down the rook there, because now after pawn takes, right, he couldn't have replaced that with the rook, so there's no point really. I'm happy. So now I just need to sort of try to find a way to consolidate my position, and as you can tell, that pawn is going to fall very shortly. Played rook b3 best. So lateral attack here, right, is not really a good way to go about it, because of, like, rook just comes over here and defends the pawn from the backwards, which is where you want your rook. Ideally, rooks belong behind pawns, whether it's your opponent's pawn whom is attacking you, or you are actually pushing your own pawn. So even when you defend in endgames, the rook belongs behind the pawn, right? This is like a classical school of thought, your Aaron Nimzovich, who made rules like that rooks belong behind passed pawns. It doesn't matter whether it's your pawn or the opponent's pawn, because it's nice when it's your pawn and you actually pose some difficulties for your opponent. It's also nice when it's your opponent's pawn and you still, well, actually also causing difficulties, because it would be difficult for them to prove the advantage of the passed pawn and actually promote. It depends, of course, on the position, whatnot. But anyway, rook a, so that obviously just attacks this pawn. And I just decided, it's fine, let me get this one to swing over to this side, because everything here is like sort of soft. Let's just get rid of this weakness to get this one. There's no point in me playing like rook b8 and trying to chill and defend. Why am I doing that? But if he played a move like rook a3, had I played rook b7, and then he played rook a3, he's kind of tied down to this pawn, and I'm also kind of tied down to this pawn, and then there'll probably be like king play maybe here, f6, some king walk of some sort, I don't know, all this way, start just gobbling everything on this side. Yeah, so I thought it just makes sense to just get rid of that side of the board, and then simple move here, e6, and you can already tell, right? This pawn is weak, this pawn is weak, that pawn is weak. I can actually attack these pawns. So he plays here this move rook a4, which I thought was a bad move, but not necessarily, because his point is he doesn't want me playing rook b4, because then he has to guard this pawn with an f3 move, for example, at which point I would have actually played rook b2 back, cutting his king off, right, from the 2nd rank, and then just slowly and sort of skillfully just march my king out like that. That was actually the idea, and just start chopping off everything here, because at least with me, if his rook were to land here, I have this pawn here to shield my king walk, right? It was going to shield my king. But of course I had to do it skillfully. I couldn't just be careless about the whole thing. And so, yeah, here I played rook b4. Okay, now you can start to see me attack. And of course, this pawn is going to fall. The only way to defend it is the move my opponent played, which was f4. And then g5, right? Because these pawns are strong. The quality of these pawns are strong, because this is one pawn. If this exchanges into this, like that, this is bad. This is just bad. So he plays f5, which is an inaccuracy. I think I ignored him here. Sorry about that. I think rook takes actually, yes, which is the best move. And as you can tell now by the evo bar, I'm sorry, I keep this mouse that I have, it's loose. It's a loose cannon. It's all over the show. Okay, rook captures an e5, f6. And like, what are you gonna mate me? Like, well, I don't want to say it, but like, this is like the last kick of a dying horse. And of course, here I played h5, which was also the best move, just taking some space, right? Space there. His pawn. Oh, nope, that's not a knight. Yeah, just taking space. This pawn can't move, the king really can't move, the rook is tied to this pawn. I mean, this is miserable, right? And after moves like king a7 and king here, he can't even touch this pawn because as soon as I capture this pawn, I'm protecting this pawn, then I just step out of the way again, and I just start marching forward, right? I just march forward. And so here he played king f2, I played king h7, and he resigned. It was a very clean game, and I had actually, let me just check the game review. I think I scored like really super high, which was decent. I mean, some games you score high, some you don't. Yes, there was like one mistake for me, 3 inaccuracies. Weren't any brilliant moves though. There was a great move from my opponent, 92.8, and this was pretty decent. And yeah, one other thing I want to mention and sort of give you guys a tip on is that when you analyze your games, you see the graph here, right? This tells you when the advantage sort of tipped in black's favor, right? If I were somebody analyzing my games, I'd look at this point on this graph for white where he lost the advantage, which is here, and try to figure out that, right? Chess improvement doesn't have to be this tall thing. It can actually sort of improve faster by focusing on certain things. So I would focus on this part and where sort of my advantage grew all the way here, right? And then it went back because this means I probably played a bad move. You see, it went from minus 1.64 to minus 1.19, which is basically I played a suboptimal move. Maybe there was a better one, I don't know. You focus on these parts of the graph and you will quickly see here I kind of lost the advantage again at this point, right? Because it went all the way to zeros. I think we've seen some of those moves here in the game, and it kind of fluctuated down here, but I believe from here, which I don't really know that where that point is, it just went on. And I think here then this just went down, and then yeah, I was just winning. I think this was when we were in the end game section. So this graph is very good to also look at when you want to analyze your games in certain and focus sort of on certain aspects of your game, because I'd like to believe like nowadays beginners know a lot of opening theory, but maybe they don't even understand the moves behind and the ideas that follow, which is a big mistake. That's why most games are sort of blended in the middle game and so forth, right? Of course, end game, it's a very tricky thing for everybody. The thing is, even if you master some practical end games, which you would if you get into the master class sort of segment, end games are just difficult for the rest of your life as a chess player. So yeah, so this will give you sort of like an idea of what to focus on in your middle game, and you can work at that. And of course, you are only as strong as your weakest link, as saying goes in a team, right? Team is only as strong as a weakest link. Even you as a chess player, you're only as better and as strong also as your basically your style of play or your weakest area in the game, right? So it's good to identify those areas and double down on that. You improve way much more faster. Don't study what you want to matter, study what actually matters, which is where you would have to do like an analysis of where you're weak and where you're struggling. Focus on that and move on to the next thing, and overall hopefully that will give you a great chess improvement journey. Thank you for hanging out. This is my second video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please do comment, tell me what you think. I'll be covering hopefully many videos to come. I'm actually going to my first tournament in like 4 years this weekend. It's called the USAs. I'll probably just make a post about it on the channel community or something. But I'll give you guys the details there. I'll be doing recaps at every round. It's going to be a Swiss round tournament. And I'll see. I'll see how it goes. I hope to have a very, very good one. I'll probably, yeah, just film myself on my phone talking about it, and I'll post it here. Do stick around. It's gonna be nice. We're gonna have fun. And then again, until next time, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, kings and queens. Cheers.